Welcome, honored veterans, family members, guests, and students. We are honored to be with you today on such an important occasion. We are here today to honor our service members and to remember the sacrifices they made and the courage it takes to defend this great country and our freedom. To our veterans, current servicemen and women, and your families, we thank you. Students, this is a big deal. Okay, let me reiterate that. As somebody who has lived in other parts of the world, who has seen firsthand the lack of freedoms that other people around the world have, I hope you'll think about that today as we honor these brave servicemen and women. The United States of America is the greatest nation on earth, and it remains that way because it stands constantly ready to defend by the best of us, our veterans. How fortunate we are. This is a big deal to remind you who you are, where you came from, and who bought it for you, our veterans, in the face of those who would seek to take it away. We are the greatest nation on earth, and all the while, let us not forget, we are one nation under God. We are the envy of the world. Good people around the world would do anything just to have just a taste of the freedom that you rise and sleep under every day. This is a big deal because it comes at a price. These folks and those who came before pay it. You live in the land of opportunity, where you have the freedom to go to school, go to work, go to church, speak your mind. You can have it all here in the land of opportunity because these men and women lay it on the line for you. There are no second-class citizens here. You are all free. Know that the world is a dangerous place. There are those who would destroy us today, right now, if they could. But our servicemen and women say no, not today, not tomorrow, not on my watch. This, our American dream, thrives under their protective gaze. When this flag passes and when our veterans are recognized, you should feel something. Be a proud citizen of this great nation of ours, but it comes at a cost. It doesn't just happen. It's bought with blood, sweat, and tears. Veterans Day, originally called Armistice Day, was originally designated as a day to celebrate the end of World War I. The First World War ended on November 11, 1918, and the legislation that created Veterans Day was dedicated to the cause of world peace and to be hereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. As time went on, we engaged in further wars and conflicts. Now the holiday honors all veterans from every war and conflict the United States has encountered. We are here because freedom is never free. We thank you for the price that you have paid for us. Elmer Davis said, "This nation will remain the land of the free only so long as it is the home of the brave." Students before you are heroes. These are the brave. Yet again, veterans, we thank you. We are here today to honor our heroes, to remember their achievements, their courage, and their dedication, and to say thank you for your sacrifices. Would our service members please stand if you served during the time of the following wars or conflicts? Please stand if you served our country during the time of World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Berlin crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis, Grenada, Gulf War, which includes Operation Desert Shield and Operation Desert Storm. Somalia. Bosnia. volunteer at home, which includes the National Guard, first responders, law enforcement, and other first responders. This also includes our peacetime servicemen and women. Most importantly, the spouses of all of our veterans, if you'd please stand behind me. And lastly, we have the current students who have answered the call to serve in the future. Would you please rise? Millions of Americans have fought and died on battlefields here and abroad to defend our freedom and our way of life. Today, our troops continue to make the ultimate sacrifices. And even as we lose troops, more Americans step forward to say, I'm ready to serve. Your presence here today is a tribute to your service and sacrifice. It is a way to say that we remember. Thank you for attending today. God bless you and your families. God bless our troops. And God bless America.
Would everybody please rise for the presentation of the colors?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
We will honor each branch of the military with the Armed Forces salute. Please stand when your branch is recognized. Army, please stand.
Feeling out, you can shout,
prepare to post the colors. Post. Left face. Forward.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
It's our way of symbolizing the fact that numbers of our profession in arms and missing from the mist, that they are commonly called MIAs, POWs. We call them family. They are unable to be with us, so we honor them and try to remember them in this way. The table is set for one, and it is small. It symbolizes the futility of the existence alone against their oppressions. Please remember. The white tablecloth symbolizes purity of heart when answering the calls to their country. Please remember. The black tablecloth reflects a narrow sorrow of captivity. Please remember. A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Please remember. Salt on the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait for their return. Please remember. The glass, it's inverted because they cannot toast with us this day. Please remember. The chair is empty. They are not here. Please remember. The white candle reflects hope and peace. Please remember. A single rose symbolizes families and loved ones who keep in faith awaiting their return. Please remember. The red ribbon tied so prominently on the vase, representative of the ribbon worn upon the lapel and breast of thousands who bear witness to their unyielding and determination to demand a proper accounting for their mission. Please remember. Once again, we remember to pay homage to the loved ones, the friends, comrades who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms we enjoy this day. All of you who have served and called comrades and demanded upon their might be had and relied upon them. Remember, they have not forgotten, they are not forgotten or forsaken. Remember, lest they be forgotten. Thank you.
Is the veteran important? The true importance of a veteran cannot be found in plaques in a museum or a downtown memorial, but instead in the personal accounts of those who have seen the unimaginable. Without the few and the fearless and the stories they have left behind, there would be no American with the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The knowledge, wisdom, and courage of our veterans are shown through their lives, reminding us of their importance to the world we now know. Veterans are a living gallery of knowledge and wisdom, sharing stories only they know. The story shared by my grandfather from his experiences in World War II will never be found in a museum, but because of his family, the events that he and his B-17 crew experienced on February 24th, 1944 are unforgotten. His dog tag from Stalag Luft 1 and letters written to his family preserve his stories. After completing their bombing mission over Germany, the crew made their return to England. But because of a sudden attack by German forces over their airplane, a quick decision to bail or land had to be made. While the pilot wanted to bail, my grandfather, the co-pilot, made the decision that he could land the aircraft. While some of the squad bailed and some remained in the plane, all the crew became prisoners of war in Germany. For 2 years, he wrote home to his mother in good spirits, constantly reminding her of his good health and asking only for food and for candy. However, once returned home and discharged from the Air Force, he buried the tales of war deep within himself. But with what memories are left, I can look to him as a figure of knowledge that could never have been obtained without his years of service. Veterans are also important because they remind us of what true courage is. In April of 2012, I sat somberly in Lake Fork Baptist Church grieving the loss of Sergeant Tanner Higgins. It was in the same church which 7 months earlier, I tossed rose petals as the flower girl in his wedding. On Tanner's 4th tour to Afghanistan, he was appointed leader of Company D, 1st Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. During a heroic attack against an enemy compound, the unthinkable happened. Tanner took his last breaths for the sake of the ideals he held so fast to. So many experiences he has now been denied. Celebrating wedding anniversaries, walking his daughter down the aisle, holding his first grandchild. In honor of his service, a section of Highway 154 in Hopkins County, Texas, was renamed Sergeant Tanner Stone Higgins Memorial Highway. As I drive by the sign each day on my way home from school, I'm reminded of the celebration of his life, the mourning of his loss, and ultimately his determination to achieve excellence and demonstrate courage. Again, his was a courage that could only have come through his years of service. While I'm honored to call these examples grandfather and friend, the title veteran holds the most significance. Their personal accounts and the ones of others remain vital to those who listen, for veterans are the most qualified to remind us of what freedom really costs. Listening to their stories emphasizes the pure knowledge, wisdom, and courage displayed by those who care for America so deeply. Without veterans, it would be impossible to understand the true meaning of those words. Thank you.
My name is Joel Newsom, and I am honored to be here today. I can't see anybody out there. These lights are bright. Hey, before we go any further, though, I would like to recognize the student council who did a lot to put this thing on. The band, oh my gosh, I can see why you're in the state now. Wonderful job. Good luck. And the choir, beautiful rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. And to the FFA for doing such a good job on the color guard. This is a top-notch event, so thank you all for your professionalism, honoring all of us veterans that are out here. So, I'm the son of Robert and Robbie Newsom. I'm the husband of Amy Newsom. I'm the father of Madeline, Jackson, Hannah, Joel Daniel, Josh, Abigail, and Jed Newsom, some of which I can't see, but I think they're down here in the front row. I know Jackson's not here because he's off doing Coast Guard stuff in Port Arthur, Texas. But I'm so proud of them because they are carrying on a legacy of service themselves, with Madeline, my oldest, being an EMT and a registered nurse here in the ER. Please don't go see her in the ER, but she'll be there if you need her. And my wife being a registered nurse practitioner, and Hannah serving in the Naval Reserves, Jackson serving. My son Joel is at West Point as a plebe, as a freshman, doing great stuff. So I am grateful to y'all, and I can't wait to see what God has for Abigail and Jed, who are 9 and 15 down there. But I appreciate the opportunity to, number one, celebrate Veterans Day with you. And number two, just to tell my story a little bit, and I hope that there's a couple lessons that I've picked up over the years that you can translate to your lives, whether you be, hopefully the veterans will identify with some of these things I say, won't say I'm crazy or wrong, but in some of you high schoolers, maybe there's something you can pick up. Because about 34 years ago, 1990, I was pretty much sitting in your shoes, except for I was at Como-Picton High School. I was rocking my FFA jacket, you know, there at Como, and I was a senior sitting in math class when over the loudspeaker, they said that the announcement came over saying, anybody wants to take the ASVAB, come to the library. Well, I didn't even know what the ASVAB was, but I know a math class had just started and I didn't want to sit through it. So I went and took the ASVAB, which is the entrance exam for the military. And so what I didn't know the second, third order consequences of this. Unrelenting phone calls from aggressive recruiters out of Greenville and Mount Pleasant. They drove all the way out to Como to try to persuade me to join the Army, which I was absolutely not interested in. I knew nothing about the Army. I was a dairy farmer. And, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good salesmen. They came out and showed me a video of some guy coming up out of the mud, camouflage on his face with his gun. And I was like, you know, I could do that. And so, being the sucker that I am, I joined the Army right there. I enlisted. I got the privilege of going to Berlin, Germany. And this was about 6 months after the Berlin Wall had fallen. So amazing time in history. And the other thing now this is probably the most critical moment of my life as far as the direction my life went. My recruiter, Sergeant First Class Vincent Walker, he had me fill out. He said, you know, you're not too dumb based off your ASVAB score, so why don't you fill this thing out, this card out, and he sent it off for me. And it was an application to the West Point Preparatory School. And again, I didn't really know what I was getting into, but while I was in Berlin, I get a packet, big green envelope came in the mail, and it said, congratulations, you've been accepted to the United States Military Academy Preparatory School. And I asked my squad leader, I said, what does this mean? He said, you're going to go to New Jersey next year. I said, okay, I can do that. So I went to the prep school, and then through the prep school, I got into West Point and did 4 years there, college degree, and got my college degree, and I commissioned as an infantry officer out of there. So Sergeant First Class Vincent Walker, I've never run into him since then, but I want to publicly thank him because he made an impact on my life through just doing his job, but taking that extra step to see some potential in me. And I would encourage you, don't take things for granted. Take that extra moment to remember those who helped you get where you are and who took that extra step, whether it be your teachers or coaches or parents or people who influence your lives. Take that extra step to remember them and appreciate what they did for you, just like he did for me. So while I was at West Point, I want to thank my parents because they made me who I was at that point in life. They modeled the kind of values and the character that I aspired to. And crazy enough, when I was at West Point, I had the opportunity to be the honor captain, which is responsible for, do not lie to you, a cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do. It's the basis of character there at the West Point. And because of the values my parents had instilled in me, and because of, the people I was surrounded by here in Hopkins County and the way I grew up, I had the opportunity to educate 4,000 cadets in character development and leader development, which was a really cool thing. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for setting that example for me and bringing me up the way you did. And then commissioned as infantry officer, we moved 18 times over the last 28 years, I believe. And we are now settled back in Sulphur Springs where I retired here last February. And we're grateful to be home. So my buddy Ad Godinez is down here. He and I went to school together, served together numerous times, but he recently retired as well. And we've been doing some reflecting on, what did it mean to be in the Army or be in the military? What are some of the things that make it so special? Because it is a special experience that is difficult to get unless you go through it. And it's the best thing I ever did in my life. So some of those reflections that we've been talking about. Number one thing that I've learned is your character is so critical. Doing the right thing, even when nobody's looking. Being a leader where you have the chance to be a leader. That the way you do things and the reason you do things is just as important as what you do. So just one historical example. Anybody ever heard of Benedict Arnold out there? Revolutionary War? Did you know he was one of the most decorated soldiers in the Continental Army up to a point? He had won battles all over the Northeast up there, but nobody remembers that he was one of the most highly decorated generals in the Continental Army. All we remember him for is because he sold us out to the British and was a traitor, and that's what he's remembered for. So if he had character, who knows? He might have been the first president instead of George Washington. I don't know. Number two thing that I believe is so important, self-discipline. So I probably had a little bit of self-discipline in high school, but for those of us who have been to basic training, you know that's one of the first things they do. they're going to tell you exactly where to be and when, and if you do those, you'll do just fine. But what I've also learned being an old guy now is that you've got to have that self-discipline without somebody making you do those things. And if you do that, you will be successful. So it's those daily habits that we have that I think are our keys to success. One thing my dad used to tell me back in the day, he said, hey, half the key to success is just show up to work on time every day. And I have seen that is very true. I've seen a lot of people who couldn't do that, and they weren't very successful. Sergeant Major David Bass, I don't think there's any relation, sir, but Sergeant Major David Bass was a great guy, and he said, hey, right place, right time, right uniform, and you'll do okay in this man's army. And he was right. And then my favorite quote recently, my 18-year-old son Joel, who's at West Point, he was a challenging young man to raise at times. He was hard-headed. But he had been in cadet basic training for about a month, and he got his first phone call, and he said, Dad, I've had an epiphany. And I was like, really? That's great. What was your epiphany? He said, if I just do what I'm told, things go a lot better. And I said, that's very true, son. I wish you learned that 10 years ago. But hey, whether it be making your bed first thing in the morning when you get up, doing your homework and turning stuff in on time, exercising every day, eating healthily, and whatever the habits that you can form every day will greatly influence your life and make you more successful. And then finally, this is one of the biggest things that I took from the Army. It's a special team. The camaraderie and the love that you find in the military is really tough to find anywhere else. And I know some of you football players out there, other teams that you do hard things together, you have some shared suffering, you know what I'm talking about. But the Army is the greatest team that I've ever been a part of. You know, you hear soldiers fight for their country, and that is true, but I mean, when you really boil it down, you're fighting for that person to your left and your right. You're fighting for those friends who are like brothers and sisters. And I want to tell you one of the most impactful stories that, to me, that shows this brotherhood, this sisterhood, this love between soldiers. So my friend Ed, who is here today, we've known each other for many years. And it's not like we would see each other every day. Sometimes we go years without physically seeing one another, but we maintain contact. And so on the worst day of my life, Ed really truly came through for us. I was in Iraq. This was in 2019. I was in Iraq. Amy and the kids were all at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And while Amy was out of the house, our 13-year-old son, Josh, took his life by suicide. And Amy came home to find that. And some of my other kids were there. And it was incredibly traumatic, as you can imagine. So I will say this right now. Hey, young people and everyone here, we all have bad days. And there are times when things seem hopeless. But if Josh just would have talked to us and talked to somebody and expressed how he was feeling and that he was having a rough go of it, things could have turned out very different. So if you find yourself in that position, talk to somebody instead of making a temporary hard time into a permanent solution. We would give anything to have him back. So when Ed was working at the Pentagon at that time, and he was working for the chairmen of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was responsible for policy for all of the Southern Hemisphere, Central and South America. Very important responsibility. But Ed, being the brother that he was, he heard what had happened. He knew I was deployed. He knew Amy needed help. And he left his desk. He walked out of the Pentagon, went to his house, picked up his wife, and drove overnight to Fort Bragg. And for the next 3 days, while I was trying to get home from Iraq, Ed was there supporting Amy, supporting the kids, and just doing whatever needed to be done. That is the kind of love that I found in the Army. And that's the kind of brotherhood that we have. So again, in conclusion, I'm so proud to be a part of this veteran population. I'm proud to be a member of Hopkins County, a resident of Hopkins County, because this is a great place to live. And thank you for veterans. Thank you for all that you've done and all that you continue to do. And God bless you. God bless America. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Newsom. At this time, we'd ask if everyone would bow their heads. We will have a moment of silence for those servicemen and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice of their lives in defense of our Constitution, our freedom, and our flag.
Before we have our benediction, I'd like to again thank the Sulphur Springs High School staff and everybody for giving us such a wonderful program. They do this every year, and I think this may be 12 years that they've been doing this. So it's always a pleasure, and we appreciate everybody's effort. And thank the band again. Thank the FAA team for their color guard. And we want to thank the culinary class for furnishing us such a good lunch. So thank all of them very, very much. We appreciate it. If you will, let's pray. Father, as we come to you this afternoon, we thank you for this country. Dear God, it's in your hands. We know, dear God, that we love it. We know, dear God, that we just ask you to take care of it, guide and bless it. Thank you again, dear God, for all the veterans here today, for their love of you and your love of the country. Pray, dear God, that there are veterans that are in different places all over the world. We just ask you to put your loving hand around them, protect their families. Just be with them and guide them as you can. We ask you, dear God, to just be with each and every one of us and all of our families around here, dear God. May you guide and direct our lives. May you bless us in a special, special way. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your mercy. We just ask you to continue to bless this country, dear God, and we love you, and we ask all these things in the sweet name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Thank you again for being here. That concludes our 2024 Veterans Day program. For our students, please find a veteran to thank today, whether it's the veterans that are here present or a veteran in your family. At this time, you are dismissed and you may return to 7th period.